Ad revenue falls for one podcast company, the latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. Audio Boom's Q3 revenue is down by 5% year-on-year, according to the company's latest trading update, even though it saw a 9% increase in downloads. Revenue per 1,000 downloads is down by nearly 9%. The number of brand advertisers has dropped by 10%. The company blames headwinds impacting advertising demand. The Triton US podcast report for September was released. NPR News Now returns to number one. Stitcher Media remains number one network. Podsights Advisor, a podcast discovery tool to help advertisers find shows, is now free for all Podsights users. The UK's podcast radio could be coming to the US after an announcement this week at the NAB show in New York. The format will be available for radio stations to rebroadcast. Spotify now indexes 5.5 million podcasts, according to an app notification. We noticed that Distractable was the number one show on Spotify yesterday in the US, rather than Joe Rogan. Americans spend more time with audio on mobile devices than radio receivers, says Edison Research. Sounds Profitable has a deep dive with TAP, the Triton advertising platform. The platform recently hit version 2.0 with a number of new features. Pacific Content's Annalise Nielsen writes about what brands need to know about subscription podcast feeds. You'll find it linked in our show notes and our newsletter at podnews.net. Spooler has launched Spooler Affiliate Cloud, a tool for organizations who syndicate audio. The first client is Fox News Radio. Affiliates can now use Fox audio cuts to power breaking news shows. Crooked Media is to launch Pod Save the UK in early 2023. The show will be hosted by Nish Kumar. The news coincides with the news that another British Prime Minister, Liz Truss, has resigned. In Australia, Listener has reached 1 million signed-up users. It launched 18 months ago. Production company Blanchard House has signed with Audible to create 2 original non-fiction 8-part series. The Webby Awards are open for entries. The 27th annual Webby Awards have 5 new categories for podcasting this year. The early entry deadline is Friday, October the 28th. And Facebook is to stop supporting instant articles, their proprietary replacement for RSS. And in podcast news, SiriusXM has signed an exclusive agreement with the Rachel Hollis podcast for distribution and ad representation. The show includes candid interviews with top performers in business, media and lifestyle. Podland News this week interviews Neil Velio about the art of podcast editing, and unusually you'll find the same interview twice in the podcast. You can listen to 2 different editors' treatments of the interview and choose the best. And The Active Voice has launched a new podcast of conversations with the most interesting writers and thinkers working today. It's hosted by Hamish Mackenzie, co-founder and chief writing officer at Substack. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.